What's up, YouTube? It is I, Chris, the 3D printing wizard. I go by there. You can call me Chris. You can call me Mr. 3D. Whatever. Today we're going to be kind of painting miniatures. So I have let me switch to this camera and kind of rack the focus over that way. I have a large selection of Heroscape miniatures that need some love. I mean, they really need to be painted. Manually focus that in. Yeah, they need to be painted. All I've done is taken them from this state, which is this beigey light, very light gray tone, which is hard to see anything. I mean, you really cannot see any of the detail in there, even though they put a wash. So this one has a little bit better wash. It's a little crab dude. You can see the wash just a little bit better. Their joints look, but I mean, it is not a good wash. It's as if like they dipped it in a toilet and were like, "Hey, look, you can kind of see the details better." Um, so yeah, we need to do a better job. But to get there, I'm gonna do a method called speed painting, and speed painting involves taking a miniature from a primed state into a state where the speed paint, which is, to give you an idea, it's a very thin paint with a ton of pigment in it. And because it's so pigmented, it will paint quickly without much effort. So what it can do is really cool. Is it takes the highlights and shadows from the previous layer. So if it's dark into light, like if you make a transition, when it paints, it'll paint with a transition. And you do that by applying different layers of paint. So I'm going to have a dark gray paint and a light gray paint, and finally a white paint, so I can get different transitions in this for the final paint. So there's another technique you can do with it too, which is a zenithal. So this is where you take a miniature that's primed. So here's his cohort, primed in the black Vallejo. I airbrushed that. I spent maybe 2 hours airbrushing this mountain of miniatures, and I still have many more that aren't finished. But this is Zenithal, where you take the black prime miniature. I'm going to use any primer, but you want to hit the lighter paint at the zenith, so from the top. And you get the top to be the whitest points, and underneath will be the darkest points, because the paint doesn't spray underneath stuff. This technique is nice. It doesn't give me the best, like I still have to go in and do some, very fine edge work. But I wanted to have a couple examples for you with the same miniatures. And I even like this over just these beige miniatures. I mean, even this just looks pretty cool. But we use this because when I paint over this with the speed paints, if I were to paint this whole wing here with the same color, the color would be actually brighter and go to darker. That's what makes speed painting really cool, because it can take all the shadow work and all this detail that's already in here, the highlights and the shadows, and then transfer that to the speed paint. So I have another example, a better example. This is a very well zenithal piece. Like, look how dark that is underneath, especially in those underneath the backpack and in the pants. My little scout here from Deep Rock Galactic, Rock and Stone, everyone. He has been zenithal. So when I go in and speed paint him, you're going to be able to pick up those different shadows and highlights. So we want to get to this point without the zenithal, because there's still, if I look straight down, he's going to be very flat from the top, which does make sense, but I like contrast. So this is going to lack contrast. We're going to try to build as much contrast. Like, you can see really good contrast here in the gun, where it goes from light to dark, or in his knee pad where you get the nice shades, and like that little groove or the hard line between the edge here. That's some great contrast. Now you get in the beard, that's decent. The face, not so much, except for that eye. But yeah, that'll be a zenithal prime here. But we're gonna do a hand. I guess all it's gonna be done by hand. That's such a silly statement. We're gonna take our miniature here, and we're going to get him set up by doing 3 different stages of paint. So we're going to do a dark gray into a medium gray into white. That way we've got all the different tones. Because the problem with most standard speed paint is they tell you to go from black to white, which, as you can see, especially in, this is what I originally did. So this is a miniature from the He-Man board game. You can see it just goes white to black. There's not much gray. I mean, there are some gray tones, but it's not really there. So you're going to get a very contrasty, very, very contrasty final paint job. I want to use a technique that I've been using with my Battletech miniatures, where I start with the black, and I'll come in, and I'll use a dark gray. Actually, let me use I'll refocus. I have it set to manual focus because this thing goes crazy without it. So I'm going to go from this black and add a little dark gray, and then a little lighter gray, and then finish off with some white highlights. This will give me far better gradation when I come back in with a contrast paint. Because again, the contrast paint builds on whatever the previous layer. It's a very thin, highly pigmented paint. So whatever's below it will show through. It's kind of, again, like a wash. If you ever, you're painting, you might know what a wash is. A real thin layer of paint, or even a glaze. And when you do that, you're going to get the colors and whatever from underneath. But if it just goes from white to black, that's really contrasty, but you want some mid-tones. You want some, some different tonalities in there, so it's not just black to white or from highlight directly to shadow. There are some mid-tones, and you can get that by using this technique where you actually have multiple layers of dry brush. And for dry brushes, we're going to use let's see if I can knock it out. We're going to use the Artify dry brush set. So the Artify dry brush set, I don't know if you guys have heard of Artist Opus. I have their miniature brushes, just their standard like round head brushes. They make some really good brushes, and they make really good dry brushes. The downfall is like a box of like 5 different dry brushes, like $100 with Artist Opus. But this company actually makes them for Artist Opus, and they're like $30. And it does come with the cleaning solution. This is a little cleaning soap, and then it's got a little fancy thing here. I love this thing. So dry brush is an interesting term. You don't actually paint completely dry. That's where you get chalky, and that's what I used to do. And I was always wondering, like, why does my miniature look way more chalky? It comes with this little tiny glass vial with a sponge, and you add like 1 drop of water, and you really want to like touch this to the water, make sure it's just like literally so dry that just 1 little drop of water keeps this thing wet enough so that when you paint, the paint doesn't come out chalky. And that's also why I don't use certain paints. So I was using, and you might even notice it in those, let me pull up another one from, these He-Man ones, right about there. Let me get even closer. I can focus really close if we need to. You kind of see where it's very chalky. I was using the Pro Acryl white paint, which is an amazing white paint, but do not dry brush with it. It is a horrible paint to dry brush. But you can see there's another one where there's not very many gray tones. I mean, there's some. His arm is gray, but you really don't want the arm to be gray. That's going to be his skin tone. I mean, he actually doesn't have flesh skin tone, but that might actually work. But yep, that's dry brushing. I mean, this one looks very dry brushed. It looks very dry brushed. But yeah, it's very chalky. We're gonna try to not have chalky dry brush by using our fancy little dabber tool. And boom, we'll focus this thing back in. I'm gonna be painting about here. Boom. Oop, too far. There we go. Yeah, we'll be painting about here. And we're just basically going to put some paint in our fancy, so these are silicone paint wells. I don't know if you guys, I don't think I've shown you guys this. Sorry about how white that is. This isn't the highest quality camera setup, but these are silicone paint wells, so when the paint dries, you just boop, pop them out. pop out the paint, and it's amazing. And then I 3D printed this little tray to hold them in there, so that way I have 2 paint wells if I need them at one time, and I probably will. Probably fill a couple of these with white, a couple of these with gray, and a couple of these with the light gray. But basically we're going to wet the brush, make sure it's the perfect consistency, get the paint on there, use my dry brush palette that I designed. So this is actually, I designed this. This is my own custom 3D printed. Look at that texture. So that way I can test the dry brush before I use it. And you can see, look at that. You want the texture to show through. So let's get, we'll start with a dark gray. I got my little squeeze bottle here. Need 1 drop of water in here. Not the easiest to do with this, but close enough. Yeah, so you just got 1 drop of water, and we're just going to get that sponge working. Boom. 1 slightly damp sponge. We'll leave that so you guys can see that, so I can see when I use it. I'll have to keep checking that too, making sure it's good. And also rehydrate paint. So if your dry brush gets real dry, you can just touch it to the pad again, and it'll reactivate the paint in the brush. So very good. We'll start with the dark gray. This will probably be hard to see, because again, dark gray or whatever. But again, we're going from this beige, which is what the original miniatures were. Yeah, this is how they looked straight out of the box. Some of them look real cool. Like, look at this guy. Look at this giant insect with weird tiny hands. He's got a lot. I mean, hands back here, crab claws, tiny hands. 1, 2, 3. He's got 8 feet. And definitely an alien face from the movie Aliens. So yeah, once I finish this load of miniatures, I can move on to the next batch of miniatures. Let me see if I can pull up the calling card for... These are all the character cards for these guys. But let's see if I can find... He should also be a green character, so I just got to find that same green. I bet you I'll find his character card. Yep, there he is. They're going to look like this. So they have very bat-like wings. And their fur... So you got a red fox and a light brown, lightish brown, a darker brown, and another darker brown. So they'll be pretty easy, and they're all wearing green as their outfit color. Very bright green. Like, look how bright that green is. That'll actually be fun to paint. But I'll actually hold this card out for me, so I can see where I want my highlights and my shadows, which I normally look at the model, and I look where my highlights and shadows, so it's definitely going to be brighter on this top of the wings, and it's going to get a little darker at the bottom of the wing. The gun is flat, because you kind of think about the model being lit from above. So definitely going to be brighter at the top, going to the bottom. So when I start with this dark gray, I'm going to hit the dark gray mostly in the lower parts and down here in the wings, and the back of the wings, the back of the tail. And then when I go to the medium gray, I'll kind of get in the middle, and then kind of in the shoulder pads and the face. And when I hit the white paint, I'm going to go very, very lightly over the whole model and just get that edge highlighting. So when I come back in with the speed paint, it's going to be awesome. And don't forget, if you're sitting in chat, make some chats. You'll keep me sane throughout the entire adventure. So first things first, let's get the dry brush palette wet. We'll put 1 more drop of paint water on. 1 drop of water. Oh, that wasn't a drop. That was an air bubble. There we go. Oop. I just hit the camera. There we go. That's wet. I always use my hands to make sure the brush is wet enough. You might even see me use my hands. Even though I have a dry brush palette, I'll probably end up using that a lot. And I actually use these, AK sells these stainless steel shaker balls. I mean, literally, it's just stainless steel BB shot, but it has to be stainless. And I drop 1 into all of my Vallejo paint, because I do use a lot of Vallejo. And the reason I do that is it shakes around in there, and it keeps the paint nice and agitated. Let's go with our dark gray. in our, I'll put it in this palette over here so you can see it better. And I have this, see that little paint on there? Clean that off before you put your cap back on. You don't clean that little bit of paint before you put that cap back on, it goes on the inside of the cap, and then every time you put the cap on and off, you're going to have dry, crusty paint. So we won't need that for a while. Feel good on that. Just need a dab. Like again, I'm just going to put a dab of paint, and I use my dry brush palette to mix the paint into the brush, and then I test it. Try to get it to a consistency right about there. And I'm just going to start at the bottom edges of things. Just dry brush in. And you're not really going to see that. I mean, you can barely see how it's a little bit lighter right here now. And that's what we want. We want to get it just a little bit lighter. But not getting it in the shadow areas. So I'm not going to come up from underneath. I'm going to keep the brush going downward. Keeping it, this is a very soft touch. I don't know if this is conveying how soft it is. Because again, these wings flex. When I paint, you're not seeing the wings really flex that much. But you can barely see that it's getting lighter. And that's what we want. We want just a little bit of this gray. And we're check to see if it's still painting by using our hand. And yep, it is still, you can barely see it. I made it just a little, yep, there you go. You can see it made it a little darker. So it's still got some paint left, but we'll take a dab of water to reactivate all the paint in the brush. Go back to it. And I'm sticking mostly the lower sections of all the detail areas. Notice I'm avoiding going to the bottom edge here. That way that stays nice and dark, because that would be the darkest point. Okay. That's looking good. Grab our medium gray. Hope everyone having a lovely day today. Now this one you'll see much better, because medium gray definitely shows up way more. So again, clean the tops of your paint so you don't put wet paint back into it. Well, into the cap at least. Put a little itty bit of paint in there. Mix it around. Get it looking how you want it to look. You can even test it on your hand, like, oh yeah, that looks good. We'll go in there with this little bit lighter paint. And this one you'll be able to see way more. See how it's already showing up? That's what we want. And we're just going to blend that in. Let's see here. We might grab my smaller dry brush and get some of this really fine detail around the face. But you're really going to start seeing the details pop out in this miniature here. You look at that tail, and now you can see that there's some medium and light detail there. And working more in the middle and top of this, I am impressed. I want to paint my Dear Minis for a while, but too afraid to start. Even got me. Yeah, well, then you should stick around, Dusty, because I'll show you all the techniques for getting at least to the dry brushing phase. Because my goal is to dry brush all of these. So you'll have so much dry brushing knowledge that you'll be able to accomplish all those goals. Because you bought speed paints, I believe? Or just buy a standard paint set? Dab of water, reactivate the paint. A little bit more in these wings. You can really see the detail showing up. I mean, it's going to look, once I get the white out, ooh, it's going to look pretty awesome. And you know to definitely wet your dry brush if you ever see dust. Not sure, let me check. It was like $40 kit. No, I mean, you can get dry brush kits. I'm not rubber. You can get speed paint kits for cheap. It's usually the amount of paints that comes with it. So like if you got Army Painter speed paint, that's usually one of the big popular ones. They make a kit, and I think the kit I bought from it was like around $40. Yeah, let me show you the manual focus rack here. Boop, 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 boop. You can really start seeing detail here. There we go. Start seeing the edges. So you see how we have like a dark gray to a medium gray now versus black to white? And now we're going to come in with that white. Yeah, that's kind of where we want to be. A little bit more of that light gray. Just all in the brush. Check our hand, make sure, oh yeah, we're not focused. You have to yell at me, make sure I'm focused. There we go. Now we can come back in even lighter, and we'll go a little circular with it. Remember, we had dark gray in the brush. So now it's going to get a little bit lighter again. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Now these tops of the wings are going to definitely be brighter than everything else. Really, I'm going to work from the top down. As I work with the top down, more and more of the paint will come off the brush. You have less even less to worry about. There we go. The tops of all this. Again, try not to get too low underneath things. I got a few areas I got to touch up. There we go. It's getting a little dry, so I'll reactivate by just dabbing. I mean, it's crazy. So I had literally no paint coming off, and it reactivated the paint. That's why we have a dry brush palette, so we can make sure. A lot of people use a paper towel, which is why I have one here, but that's if it gets too wet. But I should be good. And again, if you ever get anything too light, you can always go back in with a darker color and lighten it up. Hope everyone in chat is having a fabulous day. It was gorgeous out. That's another reason why I really wanted to start priming things, because it was just a nice day. So if I zoom in a little bit, or focus in a little bit, you can see now how that dry brush work is coming in. So I'm still got a little work to do here to even that out. Reactivate the paint again. There we go. Much more even. But see how the bottom of the tip is darker? We got some medium, we got some brighter spots. And then when we hit it with that white, that's what's going to go real fancy like. We're going to get some real good looking transitions. I really just want to hit a few more spots. Make sure we go from our dark, medium to light. All right, so now we're going to add white paint to our gray. Now we can definitely hear the metal ball. No, see, this is the one I didn't clean off beforehand. So let me focus and I'll show you. Worry about that bubble, but you can see that paint at the top, all that crusty stuff. What happens when you don't clean the top of your paint jar before you start pouring? So before you even pour it in there, clean that off, because you don't want those solid chunks of dry paint to go into your in there. Again, clean that off before you put the cap back on it. Yeah, you don't want those dry bits of paint to get in there, because then you might grab it with the paintbrush and all of a sudden, oh my gosh. Yeah, oh my gosh, look at the inside of there. See? And that's why you clean it off. Let me grab a fresh paper towel. And jab it up in there and clean that paint out of there. Boy, oh boy. That was a bad boy with this paint. Yeah, but again, we're just going to use... I don't think I need the smaller one right now. Smaller dry brush. There we go. That's better. Good enough. Alright, so now we're going to grab the white. And again, there's a little bit of the light gray in here still. So it's going to mix the first time you use this. You're automatically going to get kind of a... Like if let me refocus. You can see right now. That was that white, but because there's still some light gray in there, that was a light gray, you get a middle tone white now. So, and I'll even show you in a nice close-up. So you want to basically remove enough paint from your dry brush. So you see how heavy that was? We want to get to about there. Yep, that's about where we want to be at. We don't want to have a bunch of heavy paint coming out of our dry brush. Because that means we're just going to get a big chalky gross finish. So now we're going to get really, really soft with the brush. We're not going to scrub. We're going to hit it lightly and get those mid-tones and those edges. You're going to really see the edges pop. Let me actually see if I can... There you go. You can see how the edges popping. Let me just come in here really lightly. And boom, you can see the edges really start to pop. We'll blend that in there. We'll hit the top of this. That real bright. That's our brightest point. Now, I'm not going too light with the wings because I know from our picture that the wings are actually pretty dark. So just keep going. Get those highlights in there. And I'm barely touching the brush of the surface. Now up here I'm touching the brush a little harder. It's getting a little dry. I can really get those highlights now. The brightest points will be the whitest points, and the darkest points will be the darkest colors. Blend that in there. Blend that in each layer. Now there's very little paint in there. I mean, you can really see the wrinkles coming out now. Because there's just enough paint to barely catch the highest points. And it can't get into the lowest points. So you can see that those little holes and tatters in the fabric aren't grabbing any paint because they're too low. Oh, we lost a hair. Whiten it up. Grab more pure white. This white's going to be even brighter than the last one. We can even tell, as you look at that spot, that's what I just did. See how brighter that is in that spot. Get rid of the excess. Come back in again and just hit an even lighter amount of paint. Just get those highlights. We're getting really good transition with our dry brush, especially the tail. You're going to get all this bright stuff. And I got to get in here a little bit more. Boom. I think this one is pretty good for where I want it. I actually kind of want a little darker overall tone. You can really see the fur detail. Let me focus in even closer. You can really see that fur detail. Did you get any chance to see the northern light? Yes, I did. I got some really good pictures of it. Very nice picture. Yeah, look at the... You can really see that fabric detail. Now, this is a little bit darker than most people go with their dry brush work. But I think I think these guys are going to look really good darker. Because if you look at most of their tones, besides a little white, because this is the fox one. This is this guy down here. You can see that he's mostly mid-tones, and the only white is going to be on his face, which is going to be hard to do. I think I'm just going to paint him all the red. I'm not going to do the face. Because again, there's some details that are just so tiny, and I know what I'm good at. And I'm not the best at extremely tiny details. So, but this will be pretty easy. We'll do one color for the metal on the top, and then one color for the metal ribs, and then another color for each individual fabric piece. And it's going to look good. And as you can see, we have that brighter to darker tone. So when we paint this, it's going to turn out like that. So let's go on to the next one. Yeah, we'll call that done. Yep. Actually, you know what? I'll pop this one off. Set this one down. Then you can see the difference here. So this is where most people would go with how bright they want it. And this is where I'm at on this one. And the only reason I'm staying this dark is I really feel like this one's going to look great dark. So this is how bright you should technically go. You want to get it pretty darn white. And when you get it this white, you're going to get some really good bright colors. And you can even see it in my zenithal on this one. You want that white to get that white. But we're not doing that on this one. All right. We got this guy. Looks like a mole. Glider mole. Yeah, I wonder if I have... You reset the focus here. Where be my Discord? I think I shared some in the friends Discord. See here. General? Yes. Left screen. Yep. There's the Northern Lights that I took here, along with this one, where it had the light streak cut through it. And this was literally right outside the front door. Like, there's my neighbor across the street and one over. and the tree in my neighbor's yard. I snuck over to my neighbor's yard to get this one so I can get this kind of like tree stuff. Foreground and background. Yeah, it was really nice. I actually got a better one of this, and I forgot to share it. I went in and did a little bit better editing. I did a real quick editing job. All right, back to dry brushing. So this one's a mole. He's gonna have even darker fur. So we'll go with that dark gray again. Boop. Get it in the brush, and you see me kind of spinning the brush here. What I want to do is I want to really load the paint in there. It's a little dry. There we go. You always test on yourself. Yep, there we go. Just do a nice downward. Really only need to get the bottoms of the wings again. Just so we don't have to go from straight black to straight white. You can go in a little circular pattern if you want to, like, you can see that, how I got that in there. Same thing here. Because we just wanted, basically it's almost like a, blend. We're basically blending it in there. We just want to hit the low points. Don't want to hit too much the top of the head or anything. We just don't want to go, again, straight from white to black. We want that transition. So we want the paint that's going to go over it, the speed paint, really pick up all that detail. Wet again. Reactivate the paint. And again, we want the paint to be again, you hear the word dry brush. You think you want the brush to be completely dry, but what happens is it gets chalky. And you saw that in my other ones where it's just very chalky. And we don't want chalky, because again, if we look at this, you look at our painting, not chalky. Nice and smooth. We're getting some detail to show up. Yep, right there. Okay, we'll go to our medium gray. Blend that in. Drop of water. Go. And hit some more. A little bit higher and then down. I think this one definitely have to grab the medium, maybe even a smaller dry brush, because I cannot get in between the gun and his chest. So let me do that real quick. There'll definitely be a dark area because there's some shadows being formed from that, but I'm not going to go crazy. Grab my smaller one. See if I can get in there. Yeah, this will get in there. So this guy will get in there. That is basically dry. 1 drop of water. Brush wet, test it. Yep, that is correct. Grab our medium. Now we can get in there. Dry brush. There we go. Now it's not just a black chest. Use your tools if you got them. Because yes, they'll be darker, but it's not going to be so dark that's black. And I don't know if you can see that. It's starting to dust. I can see it with my eyes, but it's starting to get a little dusty, so get it wet. That chest again. back to our starting brush. Boop, dab of paint. Use our dry brush palette. Super pretty. Make sure we get the top. Yeah, Dusty, I need to see you paint your DRG minis. Medium gray in there now. I'm doing a lot of these miniatures because I've done only 3 DRG minis because I really want to hit them when I'm good at painting. So all this other miniatures that I have are kind of like my test bed for my eventual DRG painting day. You can see that we got our medium gray in there. Grab our white, mix it in. So now we're going to get kind of like a lighter, just a little bit lighter white, or lighter gray. And it looks like I'm brushing hard, but I'm really not. Really letting the bristles do all the work. Really getting it nice and even. Yeah, I can really see how that's, again, it's highlights and midtones now. Like if you look straight down, it's the brightest. You go this way, it's the darkest. Are minis pretty forgiving? Yes, so you can either reprime them, or since it's an acrylic paint, they do make paint cleaners, so you can take them off your minis, or you can use isopropyl alcohol, like a 99% isopropyl. That will strip it without ruining the miniature. Especially the Deep Rock Galactic miniatures. Those are just really good minis. It's a lot nicer plastic. This is not the best plastic. Right. Why we'll go over here. Alrighty. Yeah, see now how those ribs are just so much brighter now. Where the happy little trees, right here. Happy little forest of beard hair. How's it going, Whammy? So yeah, you really want to see. So this is me brushing my skin right now. See how like a little bit barely white. Now watch. Just one drop of water, again from that has one drop of water in there, is reactivated all the paint. That's why you have a little thing of water here, and then you just get all the excess paint off the brush. Go back to just highlighting again. Yeah. Actually kind of messed up a little bit on this. A little bit brighter than I wanted to. Showing off getting the paint back on the thing, but not too shabby. Look at it. His eyes are still dark. Oh, it's going to be so nice. All right. We got two. Now I'll get this one a bit lighter. Now that I lightened that up a little bit too much, we can even that out. And you mess up, turn it into a happy little mistake. There's another technique too for this where you can do you can use a makeup sponge. There we go. Now the wings are evenly white and dark. All right, 2 minis down. Don't need these brushes here. All right. Use this paint. Stainless steel paint. Best metal looking paint ever. Just kidding. Don't use that as paint. Get our dark gray going. Sure it's good. Really work that into the bottom here. Oh, it's got a cool tattering on the wing here. I do really like these minis. They're not the best quality miniatures, but you know, not everything can be Deep Rock Galactic miniatures. Oh wow, you can really see. Let me get that focus in real close. Now you can really see that texture in the paddle of this beaver. Right there. Oh, it's still a little off on focus. There we go. The guns. He's actually got a cyborg arm on that side. That's going to be pretty fun to paint. I think that'll do it for him for the gray. See the dark gray? See the black? Big difference. All right, medium gray. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Nice circular pattern so we get good even coverage. Activate the paint. Did it again. I got a little bit too ambitious there. Hey, what's up, Mr. Invaders? Hey, yeah, I saw you on GG's stream. Well, you better get to paint them. And I'm no expert, but I do paint a lot of miniatures because I have no choice. There. Ah. the technique I'm using now, I painted this guy. This is a Brood Nexus from the from the Deep Rock Galactic board game. Pooping out grunts. And then if I zoom in even closer, here's a little Battletech miniature with some edge highlighting. And you can really see, like, underside is dark, top is bright. You know, the little individual rockets painted. This one I did a way better job on. I spent more time on him. I thought he looked like Pumpkinhead from the movie Pumpkinhead, so I painted him in the same tones. Yeah, see how it goes. You can even see the light or medium tones, and you got the dark tones underneath, so you get the gradations. Look at that. Look at that little hazard symbol there. Yeah. The same technique went into painting him. But these guys are easier to paint. You basically, I mean, just don't get paint in between each panel. Much easier to paint. And then come back in with some edge highlighting. But yeah, I painted about 50 Battletech miniatures. But I still like this guy. This guy's cool. I love the eyes. That was just such a good paint. But yeah, this took maybe 10 to 15 minutes to paint. But you can really see, like, because it was painted white over black, where it was really dark, like in between these grooves, it stays black. And then it was higher up here by this pustule. And the same thing in these grooves in between. This is the issue that happened. So let me actually focus in even closer. Oop. You can see in these little tentacles, see how, because it went from black to white due to the dry brushing, you literally goes from the green that you painted to black. So, and that's what we kind of want to avoid. We want some natural gradation. So it really goes from color to black. Yeah. I really liked how this guy turned out. I didn't didn't rim it. You always got to rim your mini. So, like, especially with these, you got to base your mini. So this has mud and moss, and then you rim it. So you got to make sure you paint that rim black. So, yeah. Yeah, same thing with this guy. Sand earth texture down here. Got your little sandy covered grass, and then of course you got your lovely black rimmed base. And you gotta have your skull. That tiny skull. I think I have any other tiny things I don't do. Nope, sure don't. Yeah. These take a little bit longer. I mean, this guy literally took 20 minutes to paint. It was not hard at all, because it was such big, chunky pieces. Just I painted all the green. So basically, when you speed paint too, also paint the lightest color first. So I paint this green, and then this tan brown. And you can really see, like, the white couldn't get in that area, so it's very dark. So you kind of get that natural shading in there. The mouth is already black, so you can't get a paintbrush in there. One squirt of water. I really gotta get my eyedropper. Trying to get a squirt of paint with a squeeze bottle, not the easiest. I feel like I have too much water in there. Or medium. Put the focus back in correctly. Right there. There we go. That's the proper you wanted. I got a little bit too aggressive with the other ones. Again, I don't care if I make too many mistakes with these. They're not really the term I want to use here. I just want them to be done and look decent. And I could buy these pre-painted, but they cost $20 more for a kit. So instead of How much is it? Instead of $30 for a pack of minis of these, which comes like anywhere from 6 to 5, maybe even 4 miniatures at the low end. The 4 mini ones will be a little bit cheaper, but yeah, I don't want to spend $50 for 5 minis. I think $10 a mini is a little ridiculous. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, definitely, because I want to do, again, I'm doing all this because I want to do a live stream where when I don't have people on the stream with me and I'm not playing games, I just want to go and paint miniatures. So I will set up my little painting station over here, and I'll actually get in there and do coloring and show how I block off color and do details. Like, some of this is going to be hard because, like, there's some tiny, tiny detail on these. All right. White paint. Correct. Yeah, that's my same logic. I'd rather have ones I've painted. If I painted them, I know that it's my fault that they don't look good, not anyone else's. Then I can put my own artistic look at it. Like, I like dark and grungy and just, you know, I love how that highlighting comes in. Like, let me focus in real close so you can see. Look at just how the edges are getting picked up, and you're getting that great contrast. Yeah, but yeah, in the end, it's like a lot of these miniatures you get that are pre-painted are not painted very good. They're painted kind of poopy, to be perfectly honest. And whose fault is that? Not mine. I should try to see if I have any pre-painted miniatures in some of my board games and see if I can redo. And that really brought out the detail tail. Like, look at that paddle. That's going to be nice to paint. Which is ways I can lock different focus points, focus zones. White again. Or white. I'm going to have to pour paint in there. Go real light. Yeah, the contrast is turning up real nice. I might even leave them like this. Just get them really high contrasted, dry brushed. Then you can see all the details from far away. Because again, this is how they came. I think this looks cooler, but that's just me. One more white. fabric really shows you the cool little details and that tail. Like, see how it transitioned? The top of the tail is brighter than the bottom of the tail. That's when you know you're doing it right. Same thing with the wings. Like, that's brighter than down here, especially in between. So I actually need to get the tiny dry brush. I'm getting low on paint. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Next one. All right, so you see how the paint's getting dry and crusty? I wonder if we'll actually do it. Especially with this one. Nope, still too wet, but when it gets really dry, you can literally just pop it out like a little puck. All right, let's load this up with more paint. Oh, almost broke my rule. Forgot to wipe that before I put the cap on it. What's up, Super Frank? 1985. Oh, it's Frank Slow. Like, who's Super Frank? Is that the Frank I know? Actually, no, two Franks. I know Frank, the grubby Frank. I know Frank Slow, the slow Frank. Oh, yeah. Even though I cleaned everything, you can see paint built up on there. Silly, silly goose. All right. Now, you also notice that this paint, this dry paint, I guess it's just a dry paint palette, has very small wells. I like that because when I'm finally out of a paint, I don't waste a ton of it because it's going to start drying on the edges. The only downfall of acrylic paint is acrylic paint dries very quickly. See if I can get any love out of... Oh yeah, it's dried on the edges. It's gross. That took too long. Me talk too much. I guess I can talk a lot, but I need to paint more. So how's the Frankenberries? Are you having a fabulous evening so far? Any bites on your camera gear? Again, bottom of the wing, more so than bottom and middle, because you want to blend it. So you want to get it up into the middle of the wing, because again, it's going to go light to dark in the transition, which you can see really well in here. We went from a light to a dark. Again, avoiding the deepest, darkest recesses. Avoiding trying to paint from underneath. We're going to paint downward with our strokes here. So only the tops get this medium gray. Get some on the gun. But you don't even have to worry about the top of anything. Later I'm going to do like the bottom half of the body with this dark gray. We'll get some over here. Really need to get that smaller brush. I'll use some of the gross paint with a small brush. I can get underneath there and in here. That would be dark gray. Medium gray time. Now I'm going to be in the middle of the wing. Just circle blend that in. Yeah. Super Frank, are you still there? I haven't seen a response out of you yet. Yeah, we got light to medium. Because we start at the top of the miniature, we're going to have less and less paint as we go lower, so it'll be much easier to not overdo it. Like, especially if you look at this guy, you can see that this is much brighter than down here. Like, there's some bright spots because that knee is definitely going to have a lot of light, but we look down in here and that crotch is dark. Dark crotch. I realize this guy's got the shortest wing, or the least amount of wide. It's the narrowest. Yeah. Boop. Drop of water. Reactivate the paint. That's better. That didn't over reactivate and make it all weird. Reminds me, I gotta send an email to a client tomorrow. Could figure out how to put some music in the background. I don't have they raised the rates on StreamYard and I wasn't about to pay $45 a month for what was $25 a month previously. Yeah, there we go. Gotta warn me when I'm blocking myself. Well, that reminds me. Gotta take my meds soon. A not my Pepto. Amotidine. Actually, I can do that now. It is 7:30. I'm supposed to take it every 12 hours. Alright, stand by. I'll be right back. I'm back again. Next lighter color. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool. This is why we brought our coffee mug. Whoop. These dry brushes get gross when they just sit. I really got to grab some royalty-free music. I know I can. I think I can connect to Spotify, I believe, in OBS. That way I can get some Musico going in here. Of course, I won't be able to hear it because I don't have my headphones on. Okay. Number 4 done. That is one team. All done. Again, if you're doing this, you should probably go a little brighter. I'll have to look into that and figure that out. All right. Move these to the done section, which is the back of the file. And let's do, I want to do the bears next. So these will have to do brighter. These are polar bears. Let me grab their player card. Player card. Yeah. The other white, we're going to definitely go brighter with a dry brushing on this. Okay. Let's grab the bears and get them all stationed up in my little holder-redos that I 3D printed. There's also 4 bears in this group. I actually really like these bears. They look super sweet. Of course, as an Illinois boy in the Chicago Bears, man, I do such a good job with the priming. Airbrush priming has been a godsend. I really enjoy that. Ugh. So in this one, we want to, I'm actually going to clean this whole dry brush out. Get all the paint out of there. Okay. Want to dry that brush out. Yep, there we go. Basically, you want the brush to be as moist, it's a horrible word. That way when you brush, you can feel that it's wet, but it's not wet. Like you can feel it, there's moisture in the brush, bristles of the brush, in the hair. Yeah, this guy, this will be number 4. All right, so we're actually going to the same technique as we have been doing. Go with the dark. Load that brush up, off. Test on our hand. There we go. That's where we want it. We want it so it's just dusting. And then, yeah, this will come right off. And we'll get to work here. Mostly from the middle down, we'll hit with the dry brush here. That'll be, and I also need to figure out how to connect OBS to have multi-users on here. So again, I was using StreamYard, which makes it super simple, but I ain't gonna pay $45 a month to use StreamYard once every few months. That just, I mean, there's a free version, but I hate having the logo on there. It's just nonsense. Yeah, that's looking good. We have our medium gray, which will blend with our dark gray, giving us new transition. Yeah, multiple users, so that way I can have like guests. I know I can do that in OBS, and I know there's like some website I go to, and I can also use Discord, I believe. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Yeah, these flat panels really take to dry brushing really well. That's why I really like dry brushing the Battletech miniatures, just because they really take to it. I mean, they are meant for this technique. Reactivate the paint. And I think that's what Gigi does as well. She uses Discord. She doesn't get the people in there. She gets the audio, I believe, from Discord. But there's a way to do it, and I'm watching some decent videos on it. Look at all that detail coming out now. And maybe I will leave them like this. Maybe they're done. Next step lighter. Really got to get the fur whiter. Of course, there'll be some overbrushing, but that's fine. I already see a spot I messed up on. So I'm going to have to go back in and fix that. I'll show you how I fix that. Yeah, you can see right here, it's all splotchy. Oh, what's up, Ryan? Hey, you got your name fixed. You're no longer Ryan Mr. Numbers. That was bad. I'll zoom in and show you. Yeah, you can see how bad that turned out. See how splotchy that is? And over here? Basically, we'll go over with a darker color again. I'll use that dark gray, and we'll fix that up. You can always make mistakes. You can always fix those mistakes, if you so desire to. Yeah, how bad that mask transition is I did there. Yeah, let's go back to a darker paint. And we can cover up the mistake. So that we'll get a better transition. Anything else I want to fix up? I don't think so. That's the only spot. Just going to fix up the face here a little bit. Helmet. We'll redo that. So yeah, I've redone the helmet and I've redone that hand. Now I'll come back in with medium paint again. And we're going to make sure there's no just crazy amount of paint. There we go. There we go. Do that whole helmet as one versus making it all uneven and splotchy. Also really should have cleaned up the mold lines on this. One thing you might notice is I haven't done a really good job cleaning up the mold lines. It's just the way the mold, the mini comes out of the mold. I didn't clean that up the best. White paint on there again. There we go. The reason I want to get really white in the fur areas, this fur is white. And if I get it a dark gray or medium gray, well, guess what? It ain't going to work too well. I'm going to go in with a smaller dry brush. I'll fix up everything. So how was bowling, Ryan? Did the kiddo get all the strikes? Yes. All right, let's get the smaller brush. White paint on there. I had too much black paint on, or dark gray. Let's clean that brush up. Again, all I'm doing is using a paper towel to clean up the brush. Good enough. White paint. Boop, boop. Okay, test it. Go. That fur. Use a little tiny brush to get all the fur as white as I can in the areas where it needs to be. The toesies. His white he was cranky. I did call him your little one, and makes him sound more like a small child than a young man. So now we got the fur about as white as I want it. Let's do the close focus right there. See? Nice and white that fur is going to be. Now the reason we do that is white contrast paint is not very good. It is very, very almost gray. So we really got to make sure if something's going to be white, you got to do it yourself and get it white. All right, let's go one more layer of white. Oh, the paint well is dry. I don't have a resin printer anymore. These are actually miniatures for a board game. So they, oh, hi, Red Light, I mean. I forgot to say hi. They are already made for the game. I just prime them and am going to get them ready for speed painting. There we go. That's about as far as we need to get with our dry brushing. Okay. Next miniature. Look at this guy. And I'm really good with an airbrush. I wish I could airbrush all these miniatures, man. I really like air. Oh gosh, this pad's dry again. I also got paint on it because I'm a goofy goober. There we go. Boop. All right, we are very low on white paint, so let's reload that white up again. I'll just reload all of the colors that aren't dry yet. And I did the thing. I took the white and I didn't clean the cap off, so I'm going to get goobers of paint in that cap. Always wipe the top of your paint container. You just get done at work there, Red Light? And do you get the weekend off? Are you actually going to be able to just sit there and enjoy a nice stream? Yeah, you can definitely tell that these aren't 3D printed because they're not actually that sharp. And it has mold lines right there. You can see a mold line right there. Get a little line that's formed there vertically. You can see the unevenness from the mold pull there because not the best miniature. Boop, 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 boop. Oh boy, I want to sneeze. Banana. Okay. There we go. Look at all that paint. That's how the pros do it. Now, I might not be a pro at painting, but boy, I sure will copy what they do because they do a nice job. All right, get that dark gray in there. I like this guy's double fist pose. How's everyone doing in chat? Anyone got anything they want to talk about? Any games they're playing? I'm playing any board games. So again, these are miniatures for Heroscape, which is a tabletop miniatures game. Metallic Light and I played it last week. Actually, really good. They call it Poor Hammer because it's far cheaper and very similar to Warhammer. It is a very popular tabletop miniature game, but an army of Warhammer costs around $700 to $1,000, depending on the faction species of creature that you want to be. I guess Space Marines are probably the lower end on that one. I mean, they literally have miniatures that are this mini. Came with three other minis, and it was $35. A miniature like this by itself in Warhammer is like $100 and something. So, yeah, we don't support the Games Workshop's pricing nonsense. Oh. Frank Sawinski. Sending me music. 2 Facebook notifications. Probably something dumb. Nope. 2 people liked my going live. 3 shitter notifications. All right. Next color. Well, we'll use the same. I mean, why? That's just silly. I got the blending actually better on this one than the other one. Far less chalky. Dry. Yeah. There. We're getting there. Going to the white again. Remember, because we used a darker color underneath it, we haven't completely removed it. We don't get pure white. We get an off-white. Like here's pure white. This is what I'm having right now, which is kind of in-betweener. Yeah, this has turned out real nice. Maybe the best one I've done. But this is what I practice most on, is this size of miniature. Got all those BattleTech minis. So large flat surfaces are way easier. That's what we want. And then we're going to go still another stage lighter. Boom, we grab white again, blend it. Again, here's pure white. Here's that medium white, and then we're getting a little bit lighter again. Dry brush palette, boom. And I 3D printed and designed this dry brush palette, so anyone's looking for a lovely dry brush palette, I might post it onto printables. The only place for awesome 3D printed doohickey bobbers. These guys turn out great. These larger minis are going to be so nice to go in and slap chop. And yep, still going. Still 4 people in chat. Feel free to keep me mentally occupied with your words. I like chats in stream. Alright, I'm going to grab the small dry brush. We're going to go in and get his fur white. I'd like it to be. Okay. Look at his toesies. Look at his toesies. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see how much whiter we're getting that fur? Actually, I should have probably used the little sponge. And another one basically done. That's going to be such a good one to speed paint. All right. Brush right away. All I'm doing is getting the brush wet, coming back in, getting the paint off, making sure it's the proper wetness. Oop. Ooh, dark gray. That didn't dark grayify as much as I wanted it to. There we go. It's going from about the middle of the body downward. Like that middle tone gray. Well, it's a dark gray. All right. Brush is still a little damp. Grab that middle gray. Mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it. There we go. Now we got the next level gray. Middle of the body. Down. Now there's less paint on the brush. Tops here so we get just a little bit of edge highlighting. How's everyone liking the camera setup for this? Are you able to see a lot? It's hard to look at the paint that the work I'm doing and look up at the OBS to make sure I'm doing what I should be doing and it's all in frame. Top. I don't know what that means, Ryan. Sweet. Thanks, you guys. Very helpful, because again, I'm trying to get this figured out for when I do. Ew. He said duty. When I do my 24-hour stream, because I really want to do a charity stream again. I haven't done one of those in a while. I think I want to do a painting stream, give away some board games, and yeah. Away some board games, and also see if I can get some sponsors for stuff. I really should probably be doing that, not having a painting stream right now, but you know, I'm not good with priorities. Oh yeah. I got Ryan just commenting random words. Top. Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe have some guest appearances. That's why I really want to figure out how I want to get guests on the stream. I like to play some Deep Rock Galactic, paint some miniatures. Again, I want to find things to do for the 24 hours that's not just me playing a game by myself or me painting by myself. Even though I'm decent at talking, sometimes I don't want to talk. Sometimes, you know, I need to take a break from the words. Just in yourself. Yeah. Get some people from all the world. Yeah, I can see if I can get Viking and a couple of my 3D printing peoples. Gotta make it global. Yeah, let's see if I can get GG, some of the people from Australia. They're such a fun bunch. Like Critter, Rye, Nora. Good peoples. Good peoples. Yeah. You can definitely see like top of the hands are brighter than the bottom. And we want to keep that transition, because when you look at somebody, they're brighter on top when the sun is up high than they are below. Oh yeah, look at that. We have so many more to go. I'm already 2 hours in the stream. Back massage and meal prep. Peanut butter banana sandwiches for days. One last go to white. Tiny brush with white. Get just a fur. Got a bunch of polar bears. Beetsies. Hey, what's up, Tabby? Yeah, we're getting our miniatures painted. We're going from primed via airbrush to getting them ready for speed painting. All right, that one is ready. Yeah, we got these two and this bear as well. They're ready. We got one more bear to go, and then we can be done with 8 miniatures. And then we got to. Well, I got one more bear here. He's the leader. Heck yeah! Appreciate the support. How's the computer doing that you built? Is it almost ready? Did you get your new fan in that you needed? Oh, that reminds me. I got to order something from Amazon. Amazon. Ooh. Yeah. Yep. Those are Heroscape. Oh, I didn't keep the card so I can see what they look like for everyone. They're this group of Frostclaw bears. Amazon is sending it. Now, if you have a Best Buy, don't forget they usually have some decent components too. So if you need anything right away, this guy will be next. So same thing. Yeah, you need to install. Is that you get a fresh Windows install? Off the dry brush. Darker paint. Testing on the old handy do. Yeah, on my hand is gonna be gross. I've actually never painted this dry brush this many minis with this technique before, so. Yeah. I'm just getting this stream in so I can practice for when I do. I want to do a big charity stream for my birthday later this month. And I'm going to paint and play video games and play some Switch. So if you want to come by and play on that day too, you're more than welcome. I think I'll do it on my birthday. That'll be the 25th, so that's a Tuesday. Tuesday the 25th. I believe that's a Tuesday. I don't have a calendar in front of me. I mean, I have a phone with a calendar on it, but yeah, I want to do many hours of 24 as I physically can before I'm completely burnt out. But oh heck yeah. We're birthday brothers. He was the one that was helping you out yesterday. Was he on the phone helping you out, or was your brother the one that was in the room, or was that your husband in the room? I didn't ask. I just kind of sat there and typed things on the keyboard because I love watching computers being built. Yep, so he was the one on the phone. Cool beans. He was streaming on Twitch a second ago. I think I saw that. Husband was in the room. Okay. Yep. I'm understanding now. Oh, you really can't see. I think I gotta turn a little bit more. Really can't turn too sideways. My chair has a nice little soft armrest. So if I turn this way, it's much easier for you to see what I'm doing. And avoiding painting from underneath so the stays black underneath there. Another dose of medium gray, mix that in, whirl it around, test it on the old hand. And one of the tips on doing this technique is also each time I'm getting lighter in color, I'm also brushing less and less with less force. I'm already not using a ton of force, but I'm using even less every time I go lighter. That helps make sure you're not covering up the last layer you just did. Well, you need to get back into it. Painting miniatures is the best. One of those hobbies that keeps you from going insane. But that's just me. All right. Last dose of this. What's this backpack? Backpack. Basically, I'm using the technique so I can paint out this style. I like this darker, moody paint style. So this is figure for Deep Rock Galactic that I did. All right, going lighter. It would be great, but if I was painting those bears, they'd have real fur. I don't want real fur. I want fake fur. How nice the backpack is getting. Large flat surfaces sure do turn out nice. Oh, yeah. That would end up with real fur then. I'll go in with the tiny brush and just get the rest of the fur. And that fur is going to be white. Also, this brush won't fit in some. Okay. Oop. There we go. The rest of that fur. Okay. Our Squado Bears is ready for the next stage. The 25th, I have a doctor's appointment at 2 Central, but I'd love to join Game Stream when I get back. Yeah, we could do some Mario Kart World or Pokemon or... Is Kirby the air? Are you getting the Kirby game? The Kirby Air Riders? Might snag that. Also, PC game. Alright. Next character to paint. Okay, what else do I want to paint? Let's get rid of the bigger ones. We got this. This guy's really cool. I also plan on snagging the Kirby Air Riders game, so maybe we'll play that. Oh yeah, and you can join people's games that have Jamboree, correct? This one's going to take a while to paint. Next tallest one is this guy. Okay. Alright, so I think what I'll do today, I'm already 2 hours and 15 minutes in. I'm making the executive decision here. I'm going to get some of the bigger ones done. So I'm going to make a little pile over here. If you have it too. Okay. You have to have the game to join other people who are playing the game. It's not one of those cool ones where one person can have and everyone can play. Oh, my white. So glad I'm not using the Pro Acryl white, because man, that was a pain in the butt when I did that last time. And I did again on the white. I didn't clean off the tip of the thing. But you can if you're in real life. If you can do the Game Connect thingy. Yep, almost did it again. Alright, to come here last of the bear. Well, I actually have 3 more bear from another expansion I bought the other day. Need a fresh one of these, I think. Yep. Alright. Brush wet. And those brushes can hold a lot of paint. Okay. Start in the middle and work our way down. I didn't realize his hands were actually cybernetic. He's a cyborg bear creature person. Oh, I lost a hair. Okay. A little bit higher up. Heck yeah. I think Gigi has a Switch 2 as well. Game she has. If she wants to join in on some Switch 2 game, because Mario Party Jamboree would actually be pretty fun. I have been meaning to buy it. I do really like Mario Party. I had the other one that was on the Switch 1, not Jamboree. Oh. It's got a pierced nose. Just realized that. We go to the next medium gray. I have to bust out my other dry palette. All right, good night, Dusty. I better see some of those DRG minis painted, buddy. Can't say you don't know how to do it now. Thanks again for hanging out, though, man. I also gotta learn how to split up those 24-hour stream into 8-hour chunks. Because anything over 8 hours, and YouTube sometimes doesn't keep those videos. So like, hey, crazy person, get some sleep. Stream is too long. I don't know what to do with this video. Oop, medium gray number 2. Yeah, look at that pants detail coming in now. That didn't kick me off yesterday. How many hours did you end up going? Because I left you after like, I think you were 4 or 5 hours in, maybe? I don't remember. I have a memory of a goldfish. Actually, I usually have good long-term memory. Short-term memory, on the other hand. Someone will introduce themselves to me and I'll be like, what was your name again? I already forgot. Six and a half hours. Yeah, usually it's about 8 hours is where they're like, I mean, you can keep streaming, but what it'll do is it won't save that live stream. Can't save it for later. Mine is on. Yeah, that's what's up. And beer something was in here too. Oh no, beer was from GG's stream, not from your stream. Might have been faster to zenithal these. The nice weather that was out there. And come back in with a dry brush. But, you know, live and learn. Maybe we'll try sponging with another one. There's another technique where you don't use an actual brush, use a makeup sponge. I want all the stuff to do it. I can practice it. But, yeah, that's looking great. Okay, one last. Yeah. That's going to turn out just wonderfully. Like, this is a technique. Like, let me focus in real close. Bloop. Especially with these, like, leather bands here, where you're going to get that brighter contrast on the outside and darker in the middle. Base detail, and you got all that armor detail coming in. Yeah, so now let's get tiny dry brush. That fur. Yeah, it's gonna do really good. Kind of happy. Yeah, so now we can get it real white. Okay. Another one down. Another one to go. Refocus. All right, we're 2.5 hours in. Maybe I just finish these two. That's going to leave me... I mean, most of these are tiny. These are going to go by way faster. Maybe I'll go in Zenithal them again. Like, Zenithal didn't look bad. It's so much faster to Zenithal. Like, that took no time to hit with an airbrush straight down and get it all done. But I definitely can't airbrush on camera because I don't have a good indoor solution for airbrushing. I have an outdoor solution, which is I use the outdoors because I can airbrush anywhere I want. And the air is always clean. I don't have to worry about possibly killing myself with a whole lot of acrylic. I mean, acrylic paint's not horrible, but you don't want to be breathing in a lot of it. Oh, I forgot to order the thing I was going to order. Jeez Louise, that got more expensive. Will it add that one item I want to it? Ooh, I do need to add that. Thank you for reminding me. Good checkout. Will it add the other item I want? Nope, not close enough. So, add it manually. Yep, and need no filters. Right. Need to check out. Place my order. Oh, yeah. Yep, that doesn't sound very lovely to me. It's already getting low. Forget to clean the paint off the tip of the paint thingy, Chris. You don't shove it back in your cap. See if we'll do it now. White one looks pretty dry. Because it's dry and it's a silicone thing. Yeah, there you go. You can just peel the paint off and you have clean. Ooh. Nope, don't like it. Don't like it, Madam Tabby. Don't like it. Oop. It's going to be fun to paint. I mean, if they run a bacterial swab and nothing shows up on it and you still have pneumonia symptoms, they're like, COVID? It makes sense. Yeah, I definitely want to get a waterfall dry brush booth or airbrush booth. That's the dream. So these are my favorite ones, which are the Artify. Artify, there we go. These are the same company that makes the brushes for the dry brushes specifically for Artist Opus, which are like $100. The same brush set. And I was about to spend $100. Those are more like $30. And I'm okay with that because I already have a bunch of Artist Opus brushes. I don't need um, a whole bunch more of Artist Opus expensive brushes in my collection. Yep. Yeah, $30 is way better than 100 and something. They sell at the local board game store too that I have, which is great, but yeah, no. No, thank you. Look at the detail pop now. That's going to be fun to paint. You can use a makeup brush. That works just fine for dry brushing. They just have a different hair and much larger, stronger ferrule. So, yeah, it's a completely different hair. That's the biggest thing. Is most makeup brushes are gonna be synthetic. This is a natural, coarse. I think a horse hair. What they use, or I know it's not weasel hair. I have weasel hair brushes. So the finest in weasel hair, Kolinsky Sable. Expensive stuff. But those are like $20 a brush. But those are for like painting very nicely. Getting really good detail and not having to buy brushes every single time you paint because holy crap, synthetic paint brushes don't last when you paint miniatures. Yep, you're not wrong. These are very much basically a expensive makeup brush. This with much different hair, and they're very stiff. You definitely want to rub this on your face. Oh yeah, now that fur is coming out. Yeah, they'll definitely last longer as long as you take care of them. I've got all the fancy cleaning. So, and this actually came with a container of the proper brush soap and conditioner. I still use my other conditioner. I like it better. Oh, man, this has got just such beautiful detail. Yeah, I'm gonna do one more after this. I'm getting there's a little much. We don't paint this much in a day. Yeah, I spent nearly 2 hours priming all these miniatures. Look at that. All that. Beautiful detail. Okay, is done. I always wanted to get into landscape art, but making an art room to handle the odors would be a lot. Yeah, yeah, and he uses oil paints, which you need a odorless thinner, and even if there's odorless, you're still going to be huffing a lot of fumage. My friend's wife actually paints beautiful landscapes, Bob Ross style. She learned how to do it in art school in college. This is actually going to be a difficult one to paint because all these tendrils that are coming up, tentacles, are in my way. I'm getting into the back of the miniature here, so I have to bust out. This one fits. Yes. Yeah, I think you have to go to like Hobby Lobby or Michael's to get the Bob Ross paints because they still make his paint. So, you love me, the Bob Ross. That man was awesome. I'll watch him every once in a while. Help me get to sleep. Here's where I get stuck. Too many tiny details to work around. Yes, soon you'll have your own painting channel where you um, paint teeny tiny portraits of aminals. Okay, next paint have to be on the tinier brush. You just need to get the gaming channel huge and popular, and you can branch off and then do whatever you want to do. That's basically dry. There we go. That's not the one I wanted. Brush I want. Not enough paint. Don't put too much paint on there because it's the last one we're doing for today. Your lips to God's ear. Never heard that saying before. But then again, everyone that I know that's from the South always has really cool sayings. I don't know what they mean half the time, but I hear them. Oh man, I'm almost out of white too. Jeez Louise. Yep, my friend Richard, that's all he does. He always has cool sayings. Yeah, but when you're from the north, you don't have cool sayings. We just have a strange way of saying words. Like a water fountain, we call a bubbler. You know, we don't really have like pretty old. Yep. Then again, us northerners and our non-sayings. Maybe. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. But then again, my brain is in like paint mode. And again, I don't really I don't realize too much. You know, maybe I'll paint those other ones with Zenithal. Zenithal technique. See which ones I like better for speed painting. I think this is going to give me the best evenness with the Zenithal. Or with the dry brush. Or with the brush. Or the speed paint. Alright. I think I'm good. Because I really want to get these other 4. But I'm almost 3 hours in. It's almost 9 o'clock. Kind of want to not paint anymore. Gosh. Airbrushing is just so nice. I mean, when you have really expensive airbrushes, it just does such a nice job at getting the highlight to shadow detail. This was Zenithal as well, the airbrush. But, yep. Regardless, the technique I'm using, I'll still be able to get these nice dark. Because I kind of like the dark look. I'm always a dark and creepy, you know, horror movie guy. So, these were using similar technique for my BattleTech board game. But that's a ton of edge highlighting and blending and detail work. I need to learn how to do chipping, how to make it look all chipped with paint, but that'll be next. But you can see how it's brighter to darker. Underneath is very dark because I stick to that. But flat surfaces are easy. Well, easier. Okay. Give me your microphone. I think I'm good. I have one very, very painted hand. One very painted hand, one very strained eyeballs. I got 3 brushes to clean. I got a pad to clean. I got emails coming in. I got one palette that is might need a new prime coating. But yeah, dry brush palette got used real hard. And then I also just gotta wait for this to dry so I can pop the paint out. So that's just gonna sit on my desk. How many did I finish? 4, 4, 4. I finished 12 miniatures. 11. I thought I did one more. Maybe put it somewhere. Show the comparison. I mean, the minis aren't the same size, but. So see how very high, this is just using a black, oh gosh, microphone is behind me. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So this is just using black primer and white. This is using 3 different shades, so you get much more color gradation. It's a little bit flatter, but I can always put a dark wash over everything. So this will contrast paint way better. All right. We are done for the evening. Main camera. Okay. Oh. Yeah, again, from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 3. Holy crap, those look awesome. Yeah, they do. I just don't like how pale they are. And I can't keep them this. I mean, I could just dry brush this, but that guy's cool. He's cool. These two are cool. This one's gonna be fun to paint. I might actually, he's so large, I may actually just practice airbrush. I mean, that actually might be easier on this guy. Like, his legs and his torso here, paint him like the metallic color I want him to be. Dude, everyone should have an armored polar bear. I have 4 more. Actually, they should be in this box. I wash those because my process is always to wash the miniatures in Dawn dish soap and water, like a drop. But this box has armored polar bears with arrow guns, like gun. I don't know. There's some other cool ones in here. Oh, there's also this guy. This is the dragon that comes with the set. It's got 3 tails. But I need to pin him and do some work. Also got a Valkyrie riding a what looks to be a the cat from He-Man. Yeah, like a bazooka style, and they all have it. They're a tribe of 3 that have bazooka style things. And they got these crab guys. Crabs. And they're actually really good. The crab guys are amazing. But yeah, there's a bunch of cool miniatures for this. Again, it's the game has an interesting story. So basically, they're in Valhalla. So like where all the Viking, mythological Viking people went to. And Valhalla wanted the greatest warriors to fight. And they just opened up like space and time and sent in the best warriors from there's like World War II army men, there's these like cybernetic guys, there's bug alien creatures, as you saw, there's polar bears, There's these like undead creatures. There's skeletons. Um, Here's some cybernetic guys with like roller balls for things. Battlecat, yeah. Um, so basically, it's an open universe, and they're coming out with a GI Joe set in March of next year, 2026. They're gonna have GI Joes, so I'm 100% getting the GI Joe set. I want that, and they also own the IP for Transformers, so they might bring Transformers into this, and that would make me happy. But I really want the GI Joes. I think it'd be awesome to be like GI Joes against Crazy Crab Creature, or GI Joes versus Crazy Crab Science Fiction Dude. Yeah, that's my story. But I'm gonna go clean brushes. I'm gonna clean my teeth. Tomax, yeah, the twins. Yeah, I think they're gonna be in it. I'll have to take a look. Hold on, we can all take a look together. Left screen. Gotta move these cards out of my way. And we're gonna look up Heroscape. Boom. There it is, G.I. Joes. So you get the Joes. Actually, there's 2 sets of Joes, I think. Here's Dr. Mindbender, Cobra Command. So this is the main set. And I believe there are expansions. So, yep, there we go. Yep, they're the Crimson Twins. So, yep. And Zarana and Jinx, Shipwreck and Polly, the Crimson Twins. Yeah, you'll have different characters. Game. They come with different dice. Oh, that's a different game, actually. Hold on. Heroscape. I also have My Little Pony. Let's see if they've got. I know they got like a page that shows all the pre-orders for it. Yep. So March of next year, they've got all the GI Joe stuff. Yep, here we go. There they are. Ah. It won't let me click. Won't show me. But yeah, there's the 2 twins, and there's everybody else that's in the kit. You got like a Cobra kit with one of the guys in the little dome things, and he's flying. You got a Joe pack with a guy in his Joe helicopter, and you got the Rumble Rift. So, yep. You can buy them painted for 70, or unpainted for 50. So, yeah. I probably would get those painted. Mostly because painting tiny Joe figures doesn't sound very pleasing to me. So, or I might paint them in a fun color. Do the dry brush technique and just call it a day. Oh, look, it's done, because you can see all the details up close. It looks great. Let's call it a day. So, all right. I'm off to Sleepyland. Beer, Tabby, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to go get some rest after I clean up all this stuff. And I will see you all on YouTube probably soon, or in Discords. I think, Beer, you're in Gigi's Discord. And Tabby has her Discord. And she's also in Nintendo Prime's Discord, but I don't really go there much. But no, thanks for having, or thanks for being here on this Friday, November 14th. So, have a good night, everyone. Thank you. I really need to make an outro video so I don't just stop talking. But again, appreciate everyone being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.